I want to tell you about two ideas I had before they existed. Not to make myself sound like a visionary, I'm telling you because the lesson I learned from those two stories is, un- is one of the most useful things I've ever figured out about entrepreneurship, timing, and what it actually means to have a good idea. The year was 2012 or 2013. I was at Dish Network in Denver, and I was sitting across my friend Rick Mason. We talked about a lot of ideas during those lunch breaks, and Rick was a good sounding board, the kind of person that asked the right questions and pushed back without shutting you down. I told him about something I kept coming back to. At the time, I was commuting long distances, and the thought kept nagging me was, what if I could pick somebody up along the way and make some money while I'm already driving? Not a taxi, not a limo, just a regular person with a car and an app on their phone. The rider would see you on a map. You'd already be in the area, and the payment would be automatic. No cash, no awkward moment, no mystery about whether their credit card went through. Now, Rick and I talked about it seriously. What would the onboarding look like? How do you verify drivers? What's the pricing model? Then, at the end of 2013, I saw a Conan O'Brien sketch on YouTube. He was in the car with Kevin Hart and Ice Cube using a new ride sharing app called Lyft. They would go to a corner and say, let's call somebody up, and a car arrived. And they got in. I watched the video. I recognized exactly what I had described. Someone had built it. I signed up for Lyft that December, and in January of 2014, I became a driver on the platform. I drove for about 9 months, made a ton of friends, all the way through October 2014 when I moved to Virginia. The grocery idea actually came first, back in 2012 and 2013, and for the same reason. I was driving so much that I didn't have to actually go to the grocery store and shop. The list was already in my head, the decisions were already made. I was just physically walking the aisles to collect items I could have identified in 2 minutes on my phone. Around that time, there was something called TaskRabbit. With TaskRabbit, you could hire people to do things for you. Go stand in line and wait to pick up an iPhone, come to your home and assemble furniture, run errands. That planted the seed. I thought, what if someone could shop for me? I'd pick the groceries I want on an app. Someone would already have them shopped and ready, and I'd just pick them up at a store close to my home on my way back from work. I arrive, grab the bags, and I'm home in 5 minutes. No aisles, no checkout line. I got serious enough about this one. I pulled in two friends. We met at Starbucks every week, hashed out the details, mobile app, order flow, grocery store partnerships, the fulfillment model. We spent time talking to local grocery stores about offering the service, something similar to TaskRabbit, but focused on grocery pickup. We mapped it all out on paper. We never built it. I saw that Instacart had raised $44 million in San Francisco, and that turned me off. I thought, someone's already doing this. We can't do it anymore. Here's what we got completely wronged. Someone doing it didn't mean we shouldn't. It meant there was demand, real demand in fact. $40 million behind it. And we saw exactly how right that signal was in 2020, when suddenly there were dozens of grocery delivery and pickup services, and every single one of them was overwhelmed with customers because the need was that deep. When Lyft launched, I left that familiar mix of emotions anyone feels when they see their idea executed by someone else. I thought of that, followed by regret, followed by the story we tell ourselves. I just didn't have the resources. I wasn't in the right place at the right time. Those things were all true, but they weren't the real lesson. The real lesson took me longer to see. I didn't have the Lyft idea and the Instacart idea because I was especially smart. I had them because I was paying attention to friction. I was a person who drove a lot, used apps, stood in checkout lines, and got frustrated by systems that weren't inefficient. I was noticing where things didn't work and asked, why doesn't someone fix this? That's not a special talent. That's a practice. And it's a practice anyone can develop. The mistake I made wasn't failing to execute those ideas. The mistake was treating the pattern recognition as accidental, as luck, rather than as a skill I was building every single time I noticed a problem and followed the thought to its logical conclusion. Here's what I've come to understand. Good ideas don't come from sitting in a room trying to think of good ideas. They come from accumulating observations about the world, about friction, about broken systems, about what people actually want but can't easily get. Until the observations start pointing in the direction. When I spent 8 years interviewing hundreds of podcast hosts and discovered that everyone had the same problem, but guest management. I wasn't guessing that problem existed. I had been accumulating evidence for years. Every interview, every discovery call, every studio consultation was a data point. By the time I built PodGlue, I had something like 700 data points, all pointing at the same gap. Same with home studio mastery. I wasn't theorizing about what new podcasters struggle with. I had consulted on enough setups to know exactly where the confusion lived. The camera distance, the mic placement, the background, the lighting. The consult exists because the problem was documented before the solution was designed. The pattern recognition that produced the Lyft concept and Instacart concept is the same practice that eventually produced things I actually built and shipped. The difference was time and staying close to the problems. But the other lesson, the one I wish I had learned sooner, is about what it means when you see someone else already doing your idea. And we all have that reaction. Oh my God, somebody else is already doing it. Why would I do it now? There's so many things already. But think about it. Why are there so many coffee shops? Why are there so many different brands of cereal? Why are there so many websites, design companies? Why are there so many book publishers? Why are there so many movies? Because there is demand for those things. And when you see a signal in the world that someone is doing the thing you were thinking about, that's not a stop sign. That's a green light. It means people want it. It means money is flowing toward it. It means the market is real. We should be running toward those spaces, not shutting ourselves down and backing away. The existence of Instacart didn't mean there was no room. It meant the need was confirmed. And we walked away from a confirmed need because we confused someone else doing it with no one else should. There's a moment in entrepreneurship stories where someone says, I had this idea and I just went for it. That's the version that gets told. It makes a better story. What actually happens is that you have 30 ideas over 10 years. Most of them don't go anywhere. You keep showing up anyway. You keep noticing things, and eventually the timing, the skills, the specific problem you've been living inside all align at once. The exact right moment. I wasn't the right person to build Lyft in 2013. I didn't have the engineering team, the capital, the network, but I was building something else. I was building the attention. I was building the habit of attention, the ability to see what's broken and follow it to a solution. That's the real asset. not the specific idea, the practice underneath the ideas. The ideas that became PodGlue and Home Studio Mastery were only possible because I spent years exercising the same muscles that produced the ones that got away. Nothing was wasted. I just couldn't see it in the moment. PodGlue exists because I spent years living inside a problem that nobody solved. If you're a podcaster who's been managing guests with spreadsheets and sticky notes, who's lost track of follow-ups or let good conversations go nowhere, that's exactly who I built it for. It's in beta right now, and the link is in the description. But here's what I want to leave you with. If there's an idea you've been sitting on, something you keep thinking about in the shower, on your commute, right before you fall asleep, don't wait for the perfect moment to act on it. Write it down. Talk to one person about it this week. Take that one small step, not because you need to build a billion-dollar company by Friday, but because the version of you that keeps noticing problems and following them to solutions is the most valuable version of you there is. If somebody else is already doing it, good. That means people need it. So now go do it your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.